today.
Ted Cruz is what I'll be telling you if we were tomorrow. Tomorrow we have Ted Cruz in the show.
What?
There we go.
That's
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Yeah, we have Ted Cruz in the show tomorrow.
Well, that's exciting.
I thought he was teaching you how to sip.
And I know some people are asking me, like, hey, what's this? Are you going on a safari? No, I am keeping the heat on until this election is over. It's not over. You never got me down. You didn't get me down, Sleepy Joe. So we have a lot to talk about today. More on election irregularities, fraud.
Irregularities.
Regularities,
You know,
fraud,
weird stuff.
fact checking. Cardi B. We'll be talking about. What else are we talking about today? I'm trying to remember what we are talking about. Oh, the vaccine success.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huge.
Forgot. Right after the
Vaccine.
election.
If only right before the election, people saw that unemployment fell below 7%,
Yeah.
and that we had a vaccine.
Unbelievable.
It's almost like all those dead people wouldn't have voted. But Audio Wade is here. How are
Howdy.
you?
I'm doing well.
I think we have Half Asian Bill tomorrow and Ted Cruz talking
really?
about voter stuff going on.
So excited.
Quarter Black Garrett, how are you?
morning, what's up?
Tim from HR, Hayden. We have Tokenawan, and we have Gerald A. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
Are you good?
I'm doing very well.
Drinking a lot of wine. Why are you doing so well?
It's just a good day.
Did your little kid say his first words?
He's a little young for that.
Was it really?
Yeah.
You know what his first words are going to be?
Probably mama.
Emancipation.
Why would he want that? It's a loving family. How dare
Because
you?
emancipation is when you leave. It's not,
You said that.
Isn't emancipation the same term for
Yeah,
when
yeah.
kids
You
leave
can
their parents?
emancipate a child from their parents.
You
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know that, did you? You were thinking slavery.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's always on the brain.
Man.
We let those get away from us.
Never again.
Real stain on our history book. But we have so much to talk about. And listen, a lot of people are going, how can you be happy during this time? You know what? Why not?
Yeah.
This is incredible. This is a momentous occasion in history, and I am not just. I hope that you are feeling the groundswell, feeling almost like like the violence at a Black Lives Matter protest. That you're feeling that things are changing right
Simmering.
now, and not only for President Donald Trump, but for the country. For the entire country as it relates to election fraud. So I do have to eat some crow because right off the bat, yesterday I was talking about my time at Fox News, a little inside
right,
baseball there, and then there's a kid who dies in a hospital bed.
Oh.
That was a Babe Ruth pointing.
Not,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, hey,
Did that happen?
I don't know if it actually happened. I know
I've
he
never
pointed.
heard this.
Rumored to have happened.
So he
No, no.
hit a kid? No. I'm just picturing
Yeah, that's the famous
Yeah.
part.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
hit
he
that
hit a
kid.
baseball bat to
Wow.
a kid with leukemia. How do you like it, huh?
The famous called the shot and then he
No,
killed the
he
kid.
called
That
the
kid.
shot
I'm gonna hit that
because there was a sick kid. Babe
Oh,
Ruth. He called the
okay.
shot and then
Yeah.
hit it. Hit the home run apparently
right.
for the kid, but it is in
Well, that's
dispute
sweet.
whether. Can someone let me know the chat if that actually happened? I've heard that didn't actually happen.
I don't think there's evidence of it, but it is claimed that
There
it did
is
happen.
evidence that he had the clap.
Well,
That's
that's
absolutely
true,
okay.
yeah.
But let's get
know
to some
that.
news that's important. I have to eat some crow here. I don't know why that term is used because I was giving you some inside baseball yesterday about Fox News, and I said that Neil Cavuto was the nicest person I had ever met. That is still true. Two things can be true at once. However, I guess I don't even need to say however because he was the nicest person that I'd ever met.
Yeah.
Things change.
And yesterday, he was being kind of an asshole because he cut off Kayleigh McEnany, who, by the way, is still the press as far as I
last I
understand.
checked,
yeah.
Last I checked,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
probably
Yeah,
will be
for
for
sure.
4 more years. He cut away from her right as she started talking about voter fraud, and people are upset about this, and rightfully so. I have a follow-up right after. Watch what happened.
We want an honest, accurate, lawful count. We want maximum sunlight. We want maximum transparency. We want every legal vote to be counted, and we want every
nerve.
illegal vote to be.
Well, I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging, the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this. I want to make sure that maybe they do have something to back that up, but that's an explosive charge to make, that the other side is effectively rigging and cheating.
Now, it may seem in poor taste, but some actually believe this was a glorified PR stunt for Baby Geniuses 3. This time it's petulant, which does seem it's not outside the realm of possibility.
You can see why we do that now.
I just
Big
realized
breakout role.
I still have my Diet Coke from the Clarence Thomas
yeah.
thing yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And this
Very
is
flat.
this is a shock buzzer for Joe Lewis. I don't know if we
Ow.
can show Joe Lewis, but I don't actually shock him. It's just a vibration. So animal rights
He's
activists,
sleepy.
you can go screw yourselves. Here's the thing. He says, maybe we'll cover her if she brings any evidence.
Right.
Those are some pretty serious charges. Here is, you do your audience a disservice when you cut away from her doing exactly what you're accusing her of not doing. This is 45 seconds later.
Allow me to just broadly review 3 points that have happened in Pennsylvania. Number one, in Philadelphia, poll watchers who are legally permitted to be there and observe the vote count were blocked from observing the count. Second, Article 1, Section 4 of the United States Constitution clearly states this: the time, place, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. That's right, the state legislature is constitutionally the one making the decision. But the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Kathy Bookvar, and the Democrat-tilted Pennsylvania Supreme Court have continually disregarded the Constitution, making decisions clearly in the domain of the Pennsylvania legislator. And finally, a mere survey of the facts shows that voters in blue counties like Philadelphia County were given certain privileges that voters in red counties were not afforded. The Constitution's Equal Protection Clause requires uniform standards, but Democrat election officials created disparities depending on where citizens lived and where they voted in the state.
Now, I don't want to be conspiratorial because, like I said, Neil Cavuto was always very nice with me. And I hope, listen, Mr. Cavuto, thank you for the opportunities that you provided me. I don't know if these orders are coming from the top down.
Yeah.
But how, if you are a news agency and you say, well, you know, those are pretty big allegations. If she offers it, and you cut away, how do you think that serves your audience? This is an entertainment show. When people say, like, you're the only show I watch, I go, no! Watch other shows too. There are several. That's bad. For example, there is no Baby Geniuses 3. That's a lie.
Oh
no.
Was once referred to as a joke. But
that's a movie.
It shouldn't be your
That's a
only
lie.
show. But the fact that we are providing context on both sides, we own our biases, and then we say, by the way, this is what both sides are saying, and this is why this side sucks. How does Neil Cavuto justify that? How does Fox News justify that? I'm done with this guy.
They should definitely issue an apology. He could have made the same statement and cut away for just a second and said, these are pretty big claims. Let's see if she backs it up, and gone back to it.
He's doing
if he wanted
exactly
to.
what social media does, and I'll read later on the exact fact check that you see on Twitter, right? It's just every time I listen to NPR, when it's not some lesbian funk duo, I'm saying, Donald Trump.
It's better music.
Donald Trump making claims of voter fraud despite there being no evidence to that. Oh, well you just keep saying, I feel like there was a meeting where they just said, let's just say no evidence and cut off right before they provide evidence.
Well, there is an assumption that there cannot be evidence.
Right.
The baseline assumption is, well, of course she's just going to come out and talk and just say, blather on about X, Y, Z. But no, assuming that she won't go on to provide evidence is part of an argument. It's a point of view.
Your Honor, I would like to present to you Exhibit A, guilty.
What? Yeah. But
let's go for lunch.
Exactly.
Jimmy John's.
And I love how they say,
a little overrated. It's really just a sandwich, mayonnaise, mustard. There's nothing, not even deli mustard.
Stop
But you know what? I don't know why. I'll pay 3 times the price because good marketing.
It's fantastic.
Take that, Jimmy John's.
Take that back.
Go ahead, and then I want to see what CNN is saying about the vaccine.
I was just going to say that they say voter fraud. They're trying to push you into this category, not irregularities, not rules being changed by states. They're saying, oh, people aren't being fraudulent on their votes. Come on, that's silly.
Well, to be fair, Donald Trump did say voter fraud, which I thought was a misstep. But at this point, voter fraud.
Yeah.
We're past the point of irregularity.
Yeah.
There's probably some. The winning argument is irregularities alone.
I am this close to calling every single Louder with Crowder viewer and everyone here to go rent out a timeshare or apartment in Georgia and voting the shit out of those runoffs. I'm this close to just doing it, but I know that we would be caught. Oh, well. Let's go to CNN really quickly before we continue. They're talking about a potential vaccine maybe more than 90% effective.
Could affect 400 people.
Another good potential vaccine.
Right back to COVID.
That same person.
Wow.
Masks, physical distancing when you go out, no shutdown, just masks and physical distancing. 2.5 people get affected within 60 days.
Here we are. No shutdown when they think Joe Biden's going to be president. The good thing is there's no shutdown.
Wow.
Yeah.
The good thing is we don't have to do a shutdown because we claimed Biden the winner. All right. Here's something else too. Actually, we have some now we have some breaking news. Let's go to Reg the Bandit with some breaking news.
Yeah.
Okay, Reg, the research bandit. This guy is brilliant. You have some news for us, actually, positive news regarding William, commonly known as Bill Barr, and an investigation with voter fraud. Right, Reg?
Yeah, so yesterday late, we found out that the Attorney General William Barr has authorized federal prosecutors to pursue what he calls substantial allegations of voting irregularities before the 2020 presidential election is certified.
Okay.
Now, what's just breaking this morning is that the top Department of Justice prosecutor, Richard Pilger, has resigned in protest.
Now wait, isn't he the guy who was involved with the Lois Lerner IRS scandal where they were basically targeting conservatives? Is that why I remember the awful name Pilger?
Yes. Oh. He met with Lois Lerner, back in 2010, that early, to discuss targeting conservatives because they were mad about Citizens United and a few other things. They thought, well, how can we get these people? Well, we'll go through the IRS.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So good. So he resigned. So let it never be said that American institutions can be politicized.
I'm glad he's out.
And then you have something else too that relates to this. Our old buddy Kevin Roose, who wrote up some stories about us.
Yeah. Kevin Roose, if you don't remember him, he was the guy who wrote the making of a YouTube radical and posted Philip DeFranco's face next to Richard Spencer and everything in the New York Times.
Yeah.
Both endorsed Biden, by the way.
Credible journalist, as you're saying.
Yeah, well, he tweeted out today that Facebook is absolutely teeming with right-wing misinformation right now.
Oh, no.
These are all among the most 10 engaged URLs on the platform over the last 24 hours. Now, the things he shows are that stories covering how a Republican in Michigan flips to a winner after a glitch was corrected.
That happened.
Barr's investigation. Michigan holding an emergency session to investigate voter irregularities.
What's going
and
on?
Lastly, that there were calls for Georgia's Secretary of State to resign. So the funny thing is these are all true stories.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Misinformation.
So, after most of Twitter tells Roose, like, hey, these are real, he has a little follow-up, and he says the tricky thing for Facebook is that some of the most viral stories aren't strictly false. Right?
Aren't strictly false.
Aren't strictly false. That's a double negative hedge word, but it's really, it is just a statement of a pussy. Let's be honest. They aren't mostly strictly false.
Maybe.
He's just saying, I don't want people talking about these things.
Yes.
Right, of course they're happening.
That they're talking.
It would be nice if you wouldn't.
What were we about to say there, Reg?
And he says that the problem is that they're not false, but they're feeding a narrative he doesn't like.
Oh, there it is.
Kevin Roose's credibility is not nearly dead. It's really most sincerely dead. I hope that he finds another line of work.
Oh, okay. That was pretty tame.
I didn't know that was where you were going.
Right. Well, thank you, Reg. We appreciate you updating us. For people who are watching, by the way, please do subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Android. For people who don't know that our audio versions there
everywhere
that it's available. I think Spotify too. I'm not entirely sure. And do consider joining Mug Club. LiveWithCrowder.com/Mug Club. The Crowder election stream promo code still gives you $30 off because this election is not over.
Still going.
Not over.
We're hemorrhaging money.
It was my fault.
But we are here to serve you, and we'll be taking your chat. The reason we don't take chat on YouTube is because, we don't want to. So my question for you as we go into the vaccine first, and then we're going to get into voter fraud. And I want to know if you guys would like to see an installment series of voter fraud state by state, because we've covered it as it's come in, but I almost think that we could do a 30-minute episode, a 30-minute installment on Georgia, a 30-minute installment on Pennsylvania, a 30-minute installment on Michigan, a 30-minute installment on Arizona. We could do all of those so that you feel as though you're equipped to deal with all of them, because right now it's like drinking from a fire hose. Here's what you need to know. There's a lot in all of these states, more than in any other election. And that's not just because it's Donald Trump. It's because massive unrequested mail-in ballots and corruption at the polls. So let's be really clear here. Did anyone here ever dispute the election with Barack Obama and McCain?
No, not at all.
Did anyone here ever dispute the election with Barack Obama and Mitt Romney?
No.
Did anyone here dispute the election when they called it for Al Gore before it went to Bush?
No.
No, I was like, that sucks.
I was like,
that guy?
goo goo gaga.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You're a youngin'.
I was like in third grade.
You're a youngin' who grows a beard like a 60-year-old.
Had a beard back then.
But let's go to some good news, because this is something, again, while we're talking about fact-checking, it's important. Donald Trump talked about how there could be a vaccine, right? How it could be here before the end of the year. So Operation Warp Speed is what it was. People say, what is Operation Warp Speed? What can the president actually do? Here's the beauty of Operation Warp Speed that people miss. The government can't do so much other than get out of the way and allow people to create solutions, right? you can't just, for example, Solyndra, you can't just step in and spend money to make green energy all of a sudden affordable and useful. But what you can do is step back. You can step back and let Elon Musk gonna Elon Musk. You can step back and say, you know what, let's remove some of this red tape, some of these bureaucracies. Remember when everyone used to say, Donald Trump rolled back regulations? Hope you like your $1.50 gas. Yeah. Hope you like your vaccine that's coming down the pike before you carve your Thanksgiving turkey, possibly. I exaggerate, but certainly before the end of the year. Some of you do Christmas hams. I'm Canadian. We do turkey at Christmas anyway. So Operation Warp Speed has yielded results. Yesterday, the Pfizer CEO released this information that there's a COVID vaccine with a 90% efficacy, effectiveness rate. I don't necessarily know where they're used, but here you go.
The pharmaceutical giant Pfizer is reporting early data from its vaccine trial that shows it to be more than 90% effective.
90% is a game changer. 90%. Now you are
one
hoping
eye
to
is
have
so
a tool
higher than the
in
other.
your war against this pandemic that could be significantly
Like a crooked vampire.
effective.
Trust me, we've been doing all the research for a long time.
On ourselves.
When you Skype me, why do you always do it diagonal? What is with this guy? He usually don't get to be CEO. I don't want him working with Bunsen burners. Hold on, the flame is not wind resistant. No, it's just going up. You lie!
This is our latest Bond villain, Crooked Face. Of course.
And all of his all of his taglines are like, "It looks to me like maybe you're the one who has something that is crooked. It looks to me like maybe you didn't quite go down the center line. I smell something off kilter." I don't know. That is the most crooked face. Short of Quentin Tarantino, but Quentin Tarantino's looks more like a Muppet where he went. This is it's just so asymmetrical.
Accurate
which is, of course, a sign of bad genetics. So.
With the Count's voice, of course.
Yeah.
Count's voice. Only he can't count. How many fingers am I holding up? 8 fingers.
No.
Why do you always try and trick me and bring out fake hand with more than 5 fingers? I catch you every time. But that's not the point of this story.
Of course, no.
So remember, Donald Trump said that you could, of course, have the vaccine within the year, and NBC News fact check. That's going to be a word we're using a lot today. They fact checked him. Like Neil Cavuto fact-checked Shaylee McEnany by not allowing her to present facts, while, of course, providing none of his own.
Interesting.
And it's uncanny, the baby genius's resemblance. So NBC News fact-checked it, saying that he would need a miracle. That was, remember, they said he'll need a miracle to pull this off.
Check.
And there was also Governor Cuomo, who said it was bad news that it came during the Trump administration, and said that he would work with other governors to stop the vaccines distribution. So let's just go to a montage. Remember, Donald Trump said, hey, we might get a vaccine, or certainly an answer on a vaccine, and we talked about it. We were fact-checked on this show. Before the end of the year, this is how they responded.
We're looking to get it by the end of the year if we can. Maybe before. We're doing tremendously well.
How realistic is this goal?
I didn't hear anybody say by the end of the year was likely or probable, as the president says.
You have 2 months, and we can't let this vaccination plan go forward the way the Trump administration is designing it, because Biden can't undo it 2 months later. We'll be in the midst of it. And I've been talking to governors across the nation about that. How can we shape the Trump administration vaccine plan to fix it or stop it before it does damage?
Because Biden can't undo anything unless it's a 6-year-old's bra. He can do it with his teeth, like a cherry stem.
Wow.
How are you so good at that? Years of practice.
Do you know?
I'm just waiting for the article from CNN that says something like how to get 2 vaccines.
Right. So this is, again, now we have good news. We don't need a lockdown.
Right.
We're going to have a vaccine. And you want to talk about, you want to ask, can science be politicized? You just had the governor of is it the most populated state? I think it's California, New York, too.
Second-ish.
Somewhere, second or third. Either way,
Dense.
hopefully we can just Yukon Cornelius, just, axe pick it and push it off into the ocean. Silver! It's out there! Go find it. The governor of New York was saying, we will not distribute this vaccine if it comes under the Donald Trump administration.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with science? the primary for me, the litmus test should be: does the vaccine work?
Right.
Yeah.
And this isn't coming from Donald Trump, by the way.
Yeah.
It's coming from also Big Pharma. I guess we stopped hating them now.
Right, exactly.
Right. And it's not Donald Trump in a lab coat with beakers backstage going like, hey, let's make some vaccines.
No. Although I would trust him more than the CEO of Pfizer.
Yeah, that's right.
I go back and forth, and why is my table melting? This always happens.
Right, and they're also admitting that the coronavirus is not as deadly as they thought. At the same time that they're saying, oh, we need a vaccine, and we have it.
We need a vaccine.
So they're trying to play both sides.
We have one, but let's wait 3 months before we put it into place.
Hey, I hate to do this on air, but Wade, you see that ashtray? Could you take it and jam it through my skull so
I don't want
die
to
here on air?
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything someone can give me that I just have like a seizure so that I just become a vegetable? Because
do it.
nothing would
Desk.
please me more than breaking the balls of my family so they'd have to wipe my ass for the rest of my life.
What in the world?
I'm angry.
Dark.
I can tell.
Why? I'm happy. I'm optimistic about the election. Really, I'm optimistic about Donald Trump, but I am furious.
You're gonna Bud Dwyer
that they are. I am furious that they actually want to do this disservice to the American public as it relates to. You know what? I don't think that COVID is all that. I licked popsicle sticks from people who had COVID. Still don't have it. I think it's because I smoke cigars. But I care about. I have a 97-year-old grandmother. Who I love. I play rummikub with. She talks mad trash. By the way, her husband was the one who was mayor, city supervisor of Bloomfield Township, where there was a flip of 6,000 votes. My roots go deep in Michigan.
Yeah. We want people to be healthy.
So Mike Pence tweeted out, walking G.I. Joe lookalike.
Really?
There's a symmetrical face.
That's a compliment.
If symmetry is your goal.
Huge news. Thanks to the public-private partnership forged by President Donald Trump and Pfizer, announced its coronavirus vaccine trial is effective at preventing infection in 90% of volunteers. That's good. He was immediately fact-checked. New York Times reporter Virginia Hughes wrote that Pfizer has never been a part of Operation Warp Speed, and then Vanity Fair ran a piece saying that Mike Pence falsely takes credit for Pfizer vaccine, is promptly told to F off. And this is where Vanity Fair, they're doing work. What they do is they take an article, right? They find a bunch of random Twitter eggs who don't like Mike Pence saying, we hate you, and then they write a whole article about how everyone hates Mike Pence.
Yeah. Look at everybody agrees.
Well, here's a fact check. Turns out the fact checkers were wrong.
Oh, no.
Pence was right. Pfizer was a part of Operation Warp Speed. And here we go. We have an overlay right there from some guy who actually blocked me on Twitter, so I assume he doesn't even like me. They were a part of Operation Warp Speed. They're trying to get, rather than say, hey, we have a vaccine that's 90% effective. Good news, Americans. They are trying to shout from the rooftops like the Ricola guy, Mike Pence lied on a technicality of the vaccine. Help Americans, media. Help Americans. How about that? How about you serve the people who pay your salaries? Less and less, mind you.
And it was
thanks to this guy.
And it was so blatantly wrong that's the CNN fact checker, the guy who has bent over backwards to make sure he doesn't say anything good about Donald Trump. He's like, that's actually that's not right. They were in the program.
Where's the fact checker outside of us? Where's the fact checker of New York Times? Hey, there have been stories I've watched on YouTube regarding this, which is basically just someone saying Mike Pence said this, and then he was fact checked.
Right.
YouTube, where do you fact check that? Shouldn't you just put? How hard is it for you to just put underneath those videos? Pfizer was a part of Operation Warp Speed. Pfizer did work alongside Operation Warp Speed. How about just making the auto-suggested video, this crooked-faced Pfizer CEO saying, we are very thankful for Warp Speed? How about just that, YouTube? Never shows up? Never shows up.
No.
It's not, are there rules? It's, are there rules applied equally? And this leads to dead America. And you know what? We've actually helped play it. We've actually worked alongside. It's not just government entities with Operation Warp Speed ourselves.
We haven't talked about it a lot.
We haven't talked about it a lot.
Right.
But we've worked with Warp Speed by repeatedly testing previously untested vaccines on Brendan.
Oh, good.
And I think, Brendan, for days on end. Brendan, thank you for doing that. Brendan, how are you feeling there in the cubicle? Good.
Oh.
Well, you know what, Brendan? Thank you for your service to this country with Operation Warp Speed. We really do appreciate it.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Listen, we are patriots here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough. It's just going to make Americans sad. Okay.
I think, oh, boy.
Man. I think one of them will work eventually.
I like that kid.
It's a sacrifice we're willing to make, though.
You know what? We tested every vaccine on him other than Pfizer's.
Oh.
Which, looking back,
He's the guinea pig.
We had the choice.
Yeah. He might still get the coronavirus.
He might still. We might have actually just injected him
I think
with COVID.
He might be the personification of the coronavirus.
And something else. Turns out vaccines are only supposed to have enough to build immunity.
Okay.
We just gave him the full dose of viruses.
Why would you do that?
We didn't know.
For science.
We couldn't know.
Right, exactly.
Could have Googled, I guess.
All right, we have some election updates here. Are any other thoughts on the vaccine?
I just think it's hilarious. I don't know that you can prove that they held it until after the election, because obviously coming out so quickly after the election, it just looks like if you're going to design a game plan, don't do everything that looks so horribly wrong. Like, let's wait a week and a half after the election.
Yeah, well, the sad part...
Do something different.
Sad part is it's working.
Yeah.
On the left are like, well, Joe Biden brought us the vaccine.
Joe Biden brought us the vaccine. Joe Biden brought unemployment down to 6-point-something%. Look at that. You're going to see another jobs report before Joe Biden takes office. My prediction is it's going to... I wouldn't even be surprised if it goes below 6.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be low 6, which I think is lower than maybe someone can bring it up, maybe Reg the Bandit. I think the Obama average for his entire presidency was like 7.
Yeah, it was pretty high.
Certainly wasn't 3.5.
No.
Certainly wasn't 3.5%. I don't think Americans realize how good they've had it. We had this in Canada. We had a guy named Prime Minister Stephen Harper, and they avoided the financial, the bubble, the housing crash, because even though Canada is in many ways a socialist hellhole,
right?
They just said like, hey, the United States, you know what they're doing over there? They're, the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the Dodd-Frank, all this stuff. They're giving houses to people who can never pay it back. Maybe you guys should try it. And the guys in Canada said no.
Sounds like a bad idea.
That was Prime Minister Stephen Harper.
Yeah, that was an entire conversation. Yeah,
that was he said, no. Why would we give people loans who can't pay it back? And they said, well, we got predatory lending going on here. And then Stephen Harper said, what's did you just say predatory lending to people who can't pay it back? You're a horrible predator. That's like a shark only biting fish that will kill them.
But yeah, when I hear stories of predators on the news, they don't just hand out money.
Right, it'd be like a pedophile who just gives you candy from the van, then rather than inviting you in, he drives away.
Santa Claus is a predator now.
Hey, kid, do you like puppies? Yeah, sir, I do. Well, there's a shelter nearby. Hope you enjoy it. Bye.
Bye. Here's a free one. All its shots are taken care of.
Right. Yeah. And as the van pulls away, it's just gone, and Biden's right behind holding a snickerdoodle. That's a cookie, not a dog. What is it? Labradoodle, golden doodle. I don't know. Don't like them.
They don't blend them with Snickers now. That's for definitely.
And anyone who bought them because you thought they were hypoallergenic, you're an idiot. They're not all hypoallergenic.
Aww.
And you've taken, this is the problem with the Labradoodle. This is the problem with the Labradoodle and the what is it, Golden Doodle and the Cockapoodle and all these things.
Yeah.
Poodles are highest on the intelligence index with dogs.
Okay.
But they also have the worst temper problems.
Oh.
You've combined that with the high energy of a Labrador.
Oh, no.
So now you've just got an angry, high energy
that's not good.
monster that feels like petting a mane of someone short and curlies, and for some reason you think that's a good thing.
Yeah, when you think about it like that.
Maybe that's all that was on Clarence Thomas's Diet Coke can. Maybe it was just
somebody's Labradoodle that got too close.
What are you about to say there, Token?
Yeah, we got Reg just sent over Obama's unemployment rate.
Yeah, what was the average for his
7.8?
The unemployment was high when he took 7.8%, and then it continued to get worse his first year, peaked at 10%, then it dropped. It didn't drop below 9% until 2 years after that. So I don't know that we have the average, but my guess is the average. And I know that that's unfair because he came in and there was a crash. But compare that to COVID, where everything shut down and how quickly it's rebounded. Right. And this is the difference between Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Joe Biden's going to be coming into office after the best economy we've ever had, after a changing of the Republican coalition, and then gas prices are going to go up. Then we're going to see our standing in the world become more subservient to nations like China. We're going to see American. It's going to be Carter on steroids if Joe Biden were to actually win. So there's a silver lining either way. It's not at all the same thing as Barack Obama. Plus, none of the white guilt. So remove that lens of white guilt, and historically Barack Obama had a bad presidency, right? And it's already removed because, I mean, now you've added a lens of extra whiteness with Joe Biden.
But he got more votes, legitimately.
All
more
votes
than Obama.
votes, including a 170-year-old from Pennsylvania.
That's true. If only somebody would have warned us about mail-in ballots being open to fraud.
Why didn't anyone sound the alarm?
If we only knew.
If we only knew. So here's another election update. What are they hearing now? Hold on a second. There's going to be a legal court challenge on CNN. You can bring it up there, Quarter Black Carrot, so people can see it. Talking about, there's going to be a challenge on Obamacare. Again, that'll be perfect. People will have seen drug prices go down for the first time in modern American history, and their premiums actually stabilize at some, and they'll go, we're going back to the Obamacare era. Good luck. Again, that's assuming if Joe Biden were to actually get in. He's not. I'm not just saying it. I'm not just saying it. Let me present you some more. We have some more election updates here. Michigan. So a Detroit poll watcher, there was a story we had on this last night, then it was updated. A Detroit poll watcher testified that at 4:30 a.m., right after we broke the stream, by the way, 15 minutes after, on November 4th, tens of thousands of ballots were delivered from out of state. And unlike the other ballots, these boxes were brought in from the rear of the room, is what she said.
Okay.
And this lady said, I specifically noticed every single ballot was for Joe Biden. Yeah. Then there was another poll watcher in Detroit who testified that the ballots didn't match the voter rolls and that they were still being counted. We have audio from that poll watcher. So there are two different poll watchers. Here's the second one.
So what many poll challengers were actually seeing was that when the ballots were scanned, and it did not match a voter in the electronic poll book, and it did not match a voter in the supplemental paper poll book, which was provided due to Michigan's law that allows for same-day registration. They were still allowing those ballots to go through and be counted, and that is when the GOP poll challengers were issuing those challenges. So they were either being ignored or kicked out.
All is well.
Wow.
Nothing to see here. Yeah. Speaking of which, hit the notification bell, by the way, if you're subscribed on the YouTube, because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot. Notifications, they just let you know when things go up on this main channel. It's weekdays at 10 a.m. We broadcast live.
Yeah.
We broadcast live, and more people watching than CNN. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Also, do consider joining Mug Club, because that's what supports us. Most of our things are demonetized. Before I can even say demonet, it's already done.
We didn't even get that far.
LiveScarter.com/Mug Club. So that's Michigan.
Yeah, and so, by the way, if they had brought a truckload of Donald Trump votes in to help swing the state of Michigan, we would be sounding the alarm just as loudly. There is no place for bringing in ballots for people out of state that don't count in this election. Yeah, exactly. It didn't happen in any cases.
We
but
watched
we would
a
be saying the same
consistent
thing.
lead build all night for Donald Trump in these states. And then, a consistent and huge lead.
Yeah.
And then the graph went bloop, 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 a complete change.
Yeah.
Like a little Mario hop.
Yeah.
A little Mario hop of fraud. So that's the thing. Yeah. And none of that happened with Donald Trump.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't find an instance of 128,000, which they thought was okay over there to Washington Post. Turns out it was a typo, but Washington Post at the time just said, no, that sounds about right. Yeah. You can't find a single example of all of a sudden unaccounted for coming in with no poll watchers, 15, 20, or 100,000 votes for Donald Trump, just happening in the dead of night. You can't find it.
Yeah. And Rand Paul tweeted about this, but he said that the government sent 1.1 million people COVID stimulus checks that were dead. Dead people. 1.1 million people who are dead got stimulus checks. You think how many of those people you think voted?
But how could they spend that money if they're dead?
Well, it's expensive to vote when you're dead.
There was a prime minister, I can't remember, who actually had a bunch of dead voters on his rolls. It's a famous story that we learned. I can't remember his name because Canadian history is very uninteresting. And we had a girl in our class who I swear raised her hand.
Yeah.
And she said, but how could they all vote if they were dead?
She sounded like a Valley girl in Canada.
No, that's exactly what she sounded.
Oh man.
And then I remember later, we were talking about the Native Americans and what they ate and stuff, and Mr. Holm, I think was my history teacher, said, some people find these things a little bit odd because they would eat squirrel, rabbit, anything they could really find, but compared to Americans who, they think it's weird in India that we eat cow. And she goes, wait, who here eats cow?
Oh no.
And he said, well, are you a vegetarian? She said, no. He said, do you eat burgers or steaks? She goes, oh my God, that's cow.
Some people you can't.
This is a real person?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, she's probably dead now. Let's be honest.
Oh, come on.
Just running the numbers.
Just died of stupidity.
Let's go to Georgia now. We're taking you on a little fraudulent vote journey. I wish we had a little, road map, like when the Muppets show.
Oh, yeah.
Just like a little poll watcher going, and then just a hand saying no.
Yeah, it's always Muppets. It's never like Indiana Jones or the flying map thing. No, it's the Muppets.
I don't know. Okay, I guess I have a
good reference. I like it.
I love it. No, it's great.
A little more niche. Everyone's giving me crap. Good. Not like I've been working hard enough to enjoy some grace here.
Yeah,
you guys will have to crap on me because I watched Muppet Christmas Carol too early before Thanksgiving. You can go screw yourself.
I do.
Just started.
So Georgia, Kyle Becker, formerly I think he was at Fox News, pundit, the People's Pundit Project is where he works. He was reporting in Georgia that 132,000 change of address red flags in Fulton County. So in one county, these votes are highly likely and eligible to vote and have moved. They've moved their location per source, meaning they probably don't live there anymore. And Biden, of course, says that Georgia leads by 10,000 votes. This should be enough to be a game changer. Here's what's interesting. If you look at that tweet, can you bring it back up really quickly? Right there, it says this tweet is disputed, or this claim about election fraud is disputed, says Twitter. By the way, they still haven't disputed. Twitter. Did they dispute the New York Times and people saying, oh, no, actually Pfizer was not, Pfizer was never associated with Operation Warp Speed? That's something that you can verifiably prove to be false. This is a statement someone makes. Mike Pence, vice president, said didn't have to do with warp speed. It just takes a couple of fingers. Even if you have a guy with stubs, he can just speak and spell into his computer and find out that it's true. No. Dispute on Twitter, a dispute on this. So I thought, well, you know what? I know that Kyle, I've met Kyle Becker once or twice.
Oh, wow. Really?
I don't know him very well, but I, from what I understand, he's done some pretty good work. And I thought, well, you know what? He must be lying.
Oh.
Because Twitter
otherwise,
says
Twitter,
so.
Twitter
they wouldn't do that
Twitter
otherwise.
say so.
Yeah.
And so I decided it's a dispute, and then you click on that little link in dispute to read an article that fact checks it. And so again, remember, the fact check should be on 132,000 change of addresses in Georgia, because that's what he's claiming.
Yeah, you'd expect.
So I clicked on the dispute, the fact check, and this is what it is. It just says, voter fraud of any kind is exceedingly rare in the U.S. I'll read you the whole thing. Election experts confirm. This is the fact check. With ballot counting continuing and the presidential race being called for Joe Biden, experts and officials say there has been no evidence of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 U.S. election. The election process is secure, and voter fraud of any type is incredibly rare, according to the Associated Press and Reuters. Remember, they did the fake flotilla to try and make it seem like the Israelis were stabbing Palestinians. They cropped the picture.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Point is, they're pieces of shit. Officials and experts warn that the most interference in U.S. elections, whether from foreign or domestic players, comes in the form of misinformation campaigns, many of which are intended to create distrust in the United States electoral process. But here's the thing. I just read the entire fact check.
Right.
There's no page 2?
What about the 132,000 votes in Georgia? That's the claim.
Yeah.
Right.
A fact check is verifying that the fact that was claimed is false. You're checking the fact. This could have been written 20 years ago. Election fraud is rare. I would agree. It's generally rare. That's why this is a story. That's why Kyle Becker is saying, hey, election fraud is and should be rare, but we have a discrepancy of 132,000 votes. That's what we call, I know it burns for you to say, AP, news.
Yeah, it's like somebody reporting on the French Revolution and then somebody fact-checking and saying, French revolutions almost never happen.
It's true.
Very rare. Very rare.
In the history of France, it's only happened one time.
One more fact check.
Yeah, and every single article, by the way, that you click on that has anything about voter fraud or irregularities or anything else is going to link to that story and say nothing to see here.
Yeah.
And every single one of them.
And
more bullshit before we go.
And why the creepy passive voice where it's like, it is disputed. Not by, meaning Twitter disputes it. Or Twitter doesn't want you to see this. Or wants you to sow doubt in it. But if you were to put this particular entity disputes it, then you'd have to check that entity.
I just want an even playing field. Look, when we've talked about Michigan, when we've talked about Pennsylvania, just today, when we've talked about Georgia, we've given you the number of votes in question. We've given you the precinct of where the poll workers have worked. We've given you the quotes from the CEO of Pfizer himself, along with clips from President Donald Trump and everyone who criticized him, along with the fact-checking articles. We have given you names, numbers, dates, precincts. It's sort of diluted just to say receipts. This is a whole lot more than receipts. This is a tax form. And they just say, no.
This is an audit.
No. Because they've been used to that for so long. They've been the legacy media has been used to for so long just saying, no. Neil Cavuto just said, Kayleigh McEnany, he goes up, well, there is strong evidence of voting irregularities. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Cut her off. And then she continues saying it. But they didn't account here's what they haven't accounted for. This is why I'm positive. I want to get to your point, Quarter Black. Why am I talking like Donald Trump? This is what they haven't accounted for.
Over.
No, they cut them off. Yeah. They didn't account for us, meaning you. Yeah. More people watched this than Cavuto. More people watched this than CNN. More of you decided to be informed here because you know what? When you were watching our stream, you knew exactly what they were saying while they were saying it, and if it wasn't accurate, we gave you specifics. Yeah. This is not specific. This is just, we dispute it. Okay, that's like saying a duel, and you slap with the glove, and the guy pulls out his sword, you're like, I didn't know we were going to fight. I just thought we said duel. No, we're about to have a duel. Dispute! Okay, parlay. All right, well, here's the king. Oh, shit, I hadn't thought this far. What are we about to say there, Quarter Black?
Well, McElhinney said it. She said, if you're not interested in investigating these fraud allegations, then you are inviting in fraud.
Right, exactly.
And that's why he cut her off, because she said, "Oh, they're inviting in fraud." That's what she said.
Yeah,
she
that's what she said it. When it's like telling a kid that you're not going to watch them. It's like, hey, I'm leaving the house. And by the way, if you have a kid who's really annoying, this is an easy trick. You just go, Daddy's magical gun of mystery that you're never supposed to touch is on the table, but I'm going to be gone for 2 hours. Then you walk away.
Right.
But the point is you're letting them know there's no eye on them as it relates to elections. None at all.
Yeah. Well, and these are very legitimate claims. A poll watcher not being allowed in and things like that. Dead people voting. I have watched, unfortunately, more hours of CNN since the election than I care to admit.
I'm sorry.
And I have not. No, you're not. It's because of you.
I know.
I blame you. I have not
More CNN before you go.
Can I just go? I haven't seen them say, yes, that happened. Here's why, and here's why that's normal, legal, a total nothing to see kind of event. Yeah. And this person shouldn't have been there in the first place. He didn't have the right forms. These votes were supposed to be counted, but they weren't. None of that has happened. All it's been is this exact link. Voter fraud in the United States. That's the line everybody is saying. Voter fraud in the United States.
For crying out loud, CNN, you don't have an interest over the fact that they wallpapered all the windows at Joe Louis Arena?
Yeah.
Right.
And I know people say it wasn't Joe Louis Arena, but you get my point. The point is that doesn't even raise an eyebrow. Where'd you go to journalism school?
Right. And the word they keep using is there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But
so that's what we're talking about.
It can be targeted in areas where it would make a big difference, which would be Detroit.
Yeah.
Philadelphia. The places where we're saying it's happening.
And the Fox News headquarters, they call Arizona, the demoralized people before the polls.
Right.
You know how much fraud
you got nothing to hide? Just investigate.
Yeah, exactly.
Do
you know how much you need?
You got nothing to hide.
You need what, 350,000 votes across 5-6 states?
No, you don't need that.
At most right now.
No,
at most.
You don't even need that. In some states, you just need to say, 10,000 of these.
No, I'm talking total.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is you're adding up the total. You actually don't. Arizona is separated by how many votes? What is it, 10,000?
I don't remember.
Like that? Wisconsin is 20,000. Pennsylvania it's in the tens of thousands.
Yeah.
100,000 votes just looking at ones that can't be verified. And again, mail-in ballots were accepted at a rate of 30 times that of 2016. Just that alone. How did the mail-in system get 30 times more effective? I remember right before this election, you were bitching about the post office removing boxes.
Yeah.
And you're not saying that there were 30 times the number of mail-in ballots. It's that they were accepted at 30
times the rate.
Yeah, exactly. Which matters. So we're talking about a fraction of 1% of the vote.
In other words,
so yes, of course it's rare.
Previously, if there were 100,000 mail-in ballots, 1,000 were actually, let's say, the number 1,000 accepted versus this election, 30,000 accepted. That much of a difference. Much of a difference. And I'm not saying it's 30% of total. I'm just trying to give you a number to give you some scale here. By the way, 100,000 ballots were rejected in a California primary, just to give you an idea. In a primary.
Yeah.
Far fewer people vote in a primary. 100,000 mail-in ballots were rejected. That's a reason there's a system of accountability. Let me move on with Georgia because people can hear me rant about this till the cows come home. Is that what it is? Till the cows come home? Where do cows go? So here's another one. Georgia, an election official, Gabriel Sterling, he's been clear, by the way, and there's no interest in this from Neil Cavuto or anyone over there at CNN, that they're going to be investigating voter fraud, and he says that they will find dead people voting and people voting twice. This is an election official with a guy, a shopping mall Santa miming.
Now, let me be perfectly clear on another point.
Cool Santa.
We are going to find
that
people did illegally vote. That's going to happen. There are going to be double voters. There are going to be people who did not have the qualifications of a registered voter to vote in this state. That will be found.
That's first off, that the content is really important, but I know sign language. That's not what he was just telling everyone to buy Fisherman's Friend. That's a very misleading commercial.
Sneaky.
I care about the integrity of our election.
They get good fish sticks, though.
And our translators.
Yeah, I think there's a whole episode of Seinfeld about double voters.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So now we go to Pennsylvania. Again, we need to do an installment of each state because I know it's tough to follow because we're talking about news as it comes in, but there's so many examples in each individual state where you are way past the threshold of just saying, hey, we don't know. So in Pennsylvania, the Trump campaign, they filed a lawsuit claiming that there were different here's what it is. Different standards for voting in person versus voting by mail. In person, you have witnesses. In person, you have certain, I know people talk about Sharpie Gate. Again, the issue with Sharpies is that the instructions in Arizona that were sent out said, do not use a Sharpie. Now, Sharpies may work.
Right, yeah.
Sure.
But why is a poll worker handing you something when the information says, don't use it?
Right, exactly.
It's almost like we were told not to vaccinate Brendan, but we said, we'll give it a shot.
Oh, yeah. It was for science.
So the issue here is that there are different standards for voting in person. This is the lawsuit filed by the Trump campaign versus the mail-in voting where there were none of those standards and that it's unconstitutional. So in-person voters, they had to meet a lot of requirements that mail-in voters didn't. So this is from the Trump campaign, an official statement. It says, we believe this two-track system results in 2 constitutional violations. 1, the Equal Protection Clause violation, and 2, Elections and Electors Clauses violation. Again, because how can you have a standard? When you go in and vote, I don't know about you, they ask me for my ID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time. Thank
then
God.
They said, don't let anybody else touch your ballot. And then they said, that's what they tell you. Don't let anyone else touch your ballot.
I'm a very private person. So
I could have sworn there was a joke coming after that.
No, there's no joke. Why would you say
come
joke?
on.
I mean, I'm just saying.
This is a news program.
Come on.
Hold on. CNN right now. Trump refuses to concede amid unfounded claims of voter fraud.
Unfounded.
John King in a white background.
Unfounded. Yes.
Every time. Why do they keep putting on this?
It's like putting a guy in a green screen suit in a swamp.
Any result they can prove is fraudulent. But 1 week after Election Day, they have offered no proof. Not in Pennsylvania, not in Georgia,
what are you talking about?
Not in any place on the map that shows Joe Biden.
132,000 in Georgia, sir.
76 million.
We have affidavits, sworn affidavits.
We have here personally hundreds of dead voters.
Yeah.
Just here, just us doing our own investigation in Michigan and Pennsylvania. Hundreds of dead voters. 6,000 vote switch, glitches, people who didn't win, who then all of a sudden were winning, poll workers not being allowed in. Tens of thousands of votes that absolutely came in after the deadline. This is just what they do. Yeah. No proof. Well, hold on a second. Did you run all of McEnany's press conference? Did you? Yeah. This is my problem with Fox News. It's just like CNN. No evidence. They're all just going out with this message.
Yeah.
And like I said, 128,000 votes found overnight for Biden, right in Michigan. This is what happened. It turned out to be a typo. Whatever that guy's name was at Washington Post. I always forget his name.
Philip Bump.
In direct messaging that had taken place, said, well, it's a Biden county. There is no level of voter fraud that they would investigate.
Right.
When it was 128,000 that couldn't be physically possible, and they later fixed because it was a typo, Washington Post said, no tomfoolery here. Yeah. And that's why right now they're saying no evidence. Yeah. There is absolutely evidence of voting irregularities, and I will say it now. I don't care if I get banned. Outright fraud in some instances. Yeah. Now, the fraud may only be a few thousand, granted. The irregularities, hundreds of thousands, absolutely, if not millions. There is absolutely evidence. You just make sure that people don't see. Because if we provide the evidence, if we say, hey, here's a list of several thousand dead people voting, including a 170-year-old from a county in Pennsylvania, you say this is disputed, and you run us to the AP dispute that just says election fraud is rare. We agree it's rare. That's why it pisses us off so much.
Right, exactly. And by the way, irregularities mean states not following their own laws.
Right.
States circumventing their own laws to allow votes to come in past deadlines. And that's one of the cases that she made if Cavuto had listened for 30 more seconds, right? That the Supreme Court said, no, the legislature can't decide this, which is where the power resides. We're going to decide the votes can come in. And you don't have to show ID. You don't have to have a signature. It doesn't even have to have a postmark on it. If you find a ballot on the floor, count it.
Right.
That's exactly what the rules say.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, CNN, if you want some credibility, what you do is you present your opponent's strongest argument, and then you show why it's wrong. But they can't do that.
Can you say that again?
Credibility.
Credibility.
Yeah.
Credibility?
Like you can get credit,
but they can't do it. They can't show the other person's
you can
argument.
if it's a loan that you guaranteed can't pay back.
Right?
Then you get a house,
and that makes you a predator.
This is why when people say, this defeatism that comes from conservatives. What I hate is this bar that is set the conservatives set for themselves when they expect none from the left. Like, for some reason, there are conservatives now saying, well, good luck proving in the courts. Listen, there is so much evidence right now. It is so overwhelming. For you to set a bar, meaning it has to be outright every single vote for Biden is fraud, for people to keep up the fight, I'm sorry. You're not on this team. And like I said, it very well may be possible that we look into these hundreds of thousands of voting irregularities and anomalies, and maybe Joe Biden does win. When that's the case, fine. But we haven't. And we have never had these kinds of irregularities. Let me give you some examples of what we've never had. And we've gone through these several times. I've just gone through some here. But let's not go through the numbers because it's hundreds of thousands. What have we never had before? Unrequested mail-in ballots. That's never happened before. So that's a problem. What have we never had before? This level of acceptance of mail-in ballots. 30 times the rate. We've never had that before. What have we never had before? Ballots that only voted for Joe Biden and left the rest blank. We've never had that before. What have we never had before? People calling states before all the votes were in and military ballots not coming in time. We've never had that before. What have we never had before? Poll watchers not being allowed to watch, not being allowed entry. That's never happened before. What have we never happened before? People plastering the voting precincts with Bristol boards and paper so that people could not look in. That's never happened before. You know what else has never happened before? When a press secretary whose job it is to inform the press as to all these anomalies that are taking place, you cut it off before she can list them. None of those things have ever happened before. Also dead people, but that has happened before because the Democratic Party exists. But not to this level. When you add all of those up, those things have never happened before in any other election. Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, also, I even forgot the biggest one. One's coming in after the election deadline.
Yeah.
Coming in after 8 p.m. Not only that, but then being tossed in with the others so you can't track them.
Yeah.
None of those things. What else have we never had happen before, too? A computer software glitch. 6,000 votes. I don't know that we've ever had happen before. A digital software glitch that had a Republican losing and then flipped and he won. None of these things have happened before.
And why on YouTube is the fact check not from Real Clear Politics, who still hasn't called the race, as far as I know?
Yeah.
At least they hadn't this morning when I looked.
Right.
It's from the AP. So anytime a video is called "It's Not Over Yet" or something like that, Michael Knowles released a video. We released a video with a similar title. Always that same fact check for every news piece about the election, and it isn't over.
Yeah.
And, no. There's the AP amendment. In the Constitution.
They're
the ones who determine. Yeah. It's like super delegates.
Those founding
I feel
fathers,
so bad about my education.
Really think ahead.
Well, a minute ago, the lower third said that Trump refuses to concede the election, and then the guy was talking about 5 days, a week later, whatever. And I'm like, this is basically like you saying on October 28th, Donald Trump refuses to concede the election, even though he's trailing in the polls. Like it's not done yet. Why would he concede before?
You told us it wouldn't be done for months.
Sense.
Right.
You had your fact checking prepared if Donald Trump claimed victory within the week. Let's keep that in check here. It's still within the week. You had that ready like a nuclear option, a button if Donald Trump claimed victory within the week of the election because you guys told us it would take months. And now you're saying it's clear. We know we don't even have all the votes in yet. Some places just stopped counting for days. And then some places just had jumps of hundreds of thousands at the witching hour. I took an hour and a half, and by the way, I don't want to lie, I took an hour and 20-minute nap in a hammock, woke up, and the country was fucked.
But you know what? Like the thing that's scaring CNN, their lower third right now, is that McConnell and top Republicans back Trump's refusal to concede.
Right.
That's really good news for us.
That's really good news for us.
When I see the people who are on this, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Bill Barr, McConnell, that's quite a coalition.
It reads as a louder with Crowder guest list.
And these are not just people who look at we look at the graph and go like, well, that looks a little weird that it just jumped up.
Right.
But these are people who are and Rudy Giuliani, I forgot to mention him.
Right.
Just all of this incredible information that they have, and we are just with the information available publicly able to see something's off, and they agree.
Ted Cruz is a very good
careful.
lawyer. Ted Cruz was the most, I think even the person who was the head of the Harvard Law Review said that he was probably one of the most annoying and most skilled students that he ever had.
Skilled, yes. Annoying,
the head of Harvard Law Review when Barack Obama, or the person who was, I don't know if it was the dean, because actually Barack Obama was the head of the Harvard Law Review, but there's someone above them, maybe it was their professor. When you ask him about Barack Obama, he said, Yeah, he was there. I think it was the only time it was never published.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz was like a national level debate champion. People need to understand this. Doesn't mean he's dorky, sure, but the first rule of being a lawyer. He's a lawyer, is don't ask a question you don't already know the answer to. I guarantee you, having spent, and Ted Cruz has been on the show maybe a dozen times. We've had Rand Paul on quite a bit. Ted Cruz would not go in just for some Twitter traffic. Ted Cruz would not go in on this unless he knows that there is something there. Keep that in mind. Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, these are not people who are unreasonable, who act outside the boundaries of the law. These were people who were trying to safeguard our constitutional republic before the election and are right now saying that it's compromised. It is amazing to me that we have a media who falsely created this Russia collusion narrative. There was no proof, never admitted it, by the way, and now they say, but elections are impenetrable. The election process is impenetrable, their defense is impetuous, and they're going to make orphans of your children. The point is, now, there's no way anyone could affect the elections. Certainly not actual poll workers who are stopping the other poll watchers like Hooper Humperdinck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and if you're on the left right now and you want Donald Trump to leave office peacefully, what is the very best thing that you can do? Open everything up and say, you think there's irregularities? You think there's fraud? Let's dive into it so that when that transition comes, he will walk out of this office peacefully. If you really are scared, he's just going to stay in office and not leave. That's exactly what you would do, unless you were afraid that something is there that will be found out.
They could give him no excuse. They could if they were to open things up and everything was legit. They could, okay, well, I have no excuse.
See how crazy this guy is claiming there's fraud? Look, nothing to see. Everything's open.
Because I tell you what, I always used to say this, President Obama, and I try to say President Trump, and every now and then you say, okay, Trump, you'll say Trump Biden because you have to save words, you have to breathe when you speak. But I always said, listen, he is my president with President Obama. He's my president. I always hate when people just said Bush. So President Obama. That being said, President Obama sucks balls at his job. I want to be able to. I don't want to fight a ghost.
Right.
I want to know that I am actually resisting. Remember that, the resistance, and meet the new resistance. It's all of a sudden the resistance isn't cool to the left.
No.
It's disruptive, despite it being not mostly peaceful, entirely peaceful. I don't want to fight a ghost. I don't want to be grabbing a bar of soap. I want to know beyond any shadow of a doubt that Joe Biden is president of the United States, if that's what happens. I want to know beyond any shadow of a doubt that the American people chose him and that there was no shenanigans afoot. That's what you should want to. Listen, if you're going to talk about healing in this country, and I know what they're going to try and say. They will try and say, well, you know what, the thing is Donald Trump is just bringing up, that's what they're trying to do, bogus claims. No. I just walked you through 10 examples of anomalies that have never occurred in a modern American election. There is more than enough reason, certainly more than the reason you had, which was 3,000 ads to the tune of $10,000 from some guy with a laptop in Russia, okay? Facebook ads. There is more than enough reason to call, not only, the votes are already in question, to investigate them, to read them. You can't, if you pull this off, you can't even tell kids that reading is good for them because you refuse to do it here. They're not going to buy it from you. You'll be like, hey, you need to read more. Yeah, but Mom, you refuse to read the ballots. Don't wait up, bitch. They're not going to trust you. I want to be able to say, that's my president, and I don't think he's very good at his job, President Joe Biden.
And spend the next 4 years.
You should want to be able to say the same thing.
Yeah, we got to spend the next 4 years trying to get somebody who can go into that office and do a great job instead of Joe Biden, if that happens to be the case. We want fair elections, period.
Right.
Even if I think Donald Trump is the savior, come back. And people in this country vote for somebody else, they have that right. They have the right to be wrong. That's all we're asking for.
Right.
Nothing more.
People vote. Listen, people voted to free Barabbas. Crazier things have happened.
I know. Jesus allowed.
Whoa, that was a vote. Yeah, that's true.
It was Barabbas, wow. Barabbas. And the guy was like,
jeez.
Barabbas sniffs kids.
And that's not the worst of it.
Wait, is that
they said,
Barabbas?
let his sniffs be on our children and our children's children.
Well, they are.
Something Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson goes, oh?
Listen,
I knew it.
Don't speak of me out of turn because you know I don't like you. I don't want you to talk about that show. Okay, all right, Mel Gibson, go to Trader Joe's. I love their Tucanos. We do too.
Yeah,
okay, common ground, good. All right. Before we final story, it says on a little bit of a lighter note. Yeah. Oh, wait, they're talking about Bill Barr.
Hey.
Hold on really quickly.
Well, if true, could potentially impact the outcome. As well, he's just doing this to keep the president happy, and even Bill Barr knows there's no there there. Which is it?
Look at, do you see what that is? Attributing motive.
Combination of both, John. I think the memo that Bill Barr issued yesterday sort of ended a very awkward silence from the Justice Department. For days and days, the president and his lawyers, his campaign, have been holding press conferences, filing frivolous lawsuits, really, claiming that there was this massive fraud while providing no evidence of such massive fraud that would make a difference in this election.
You have to be a moron to watch CNN. Let me tell you what.
Why are we doing it?
A press conference went on when you're talking about this Kayleigh McEnany, or you're talking about Rudy Giuliani.
Right.
These press conferences went on for some of them 20 minutes, 40 minutes. I don't have it in front of me. You can fact check me. Maybe I'm wrong. But they went on for a substantial amount of time, and there were many different people who spoke, including elected officials, including local representatives, including poll watchers, including volunteers. And they all brought forward specific evidence with numbers.
Yeah.
So you just say no evidence. Well, hold on a second. Yeah. Just say the evidence the very thin evidence they brought forward that 132,000 people in Georgia whose residence may not be valid. They brought forth very thin evidence with verified obituaries with thousands of people who voted mail-in ballots and obituaries. Very, very thin evidence. Just do that. But instead, they've never covered it, and they just tell you no evidence. Why? Again, this is why they won't. This is why they won't have me on CNN. We've had. I used to appear on HLN and CNN. You know what? Once they started actually having receipts, they stopped. They stopped. If I were on CNN, I would say, what about the 132,000 in Georgia that right now are being investigated? What? I would say, hey, what about the 8,000 military ballots that were on their way in? Do we know what happened with those? What? Hey, how many ballots were received in Pennsylvania after 8 p.m. on election night? And that's actually unconstitutional. They have to be tossed out. Well, I don't know. And hey, were those actually blended in with votes that came in before 8 p.m. so that they couldn't be differentiated because that's also against the law? Well, I don't know. What about the 128,000 vote typo that you didn't call anybody on until the people themselves who made the typo came out and said, sorry, our bad. Sorry, that bullshit. Yep. Listen, what about they give you no specifics. Watch all morning, and Fox News too. Screw those guys. Screw those guys. When they just say there's no evidence, none. Yeah. Look, we've given you specifics. Maybe they'll look into the 132,000 change of address red flags in Fulton County and say, those people actually, they moved over, a county over, and we're fine.
Yeah. Who do you think has a better standard of evidence? Attorney General Bill Barr or this guy on CNN?
And what do? They just say, well, Bill Barr is clearly just trying to keep the president happy.
Gosh.
Yeah, because it's not like Bill Barr sent your whole world tumbling down several times before.
Right.
Yeah.
Gupta.
And are they going to say the same thing about Ted Cruz? Ted Cruz is not some Trump sycophant.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Same with Rand Paul. They both debated him. They both had plenty of issues.
Ted Cruz's dad of killing JFK.
Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And Megyn Kelly right now, who obviously doesn't get a Christmas card from Donald Trump, is still saying you got to let this process play out.
Let this process play out.
And you see how the coordinated effort, right? You're seeing it with big tech. Everybody is saying voter fraud doesn't exist, and these claims are baseless. Every single time they reference these claims, unfounded. Voter fraud claims, unfounded every single time, but every single person.
I haven't heard them actually reference them specifically. They just say
in general,
claims.
But by the way,
they
said unfounded when Donald Trump said, "What is this?" Again, 120. What's the name of that guy over there at Washington Post? Philip Bump. Philip Bump. In private messages, again, we can bring this up for you. It was sent to him. I hope that have I described this clearly enough for people to understand?
Very clear.
128,000 votes found for Joe Biden,
by the way,
overnight.
To zero. It's 128 to 0. 128 Biden with 0 Trump.
Zero Trump. Happened overnight in the dead of night. And at this point, Donald Trump said, "Hey, what is this?" And that was marked as a disputed claim. No one ever thought it's not even possible for there to be that many votes for Biden, let alone 0 for Trump. And I mean total. I'm not even talking about the ratio, which, by the way, is why they disable comments on a lot of CNN. You don't want to get ratioed because guess what? We have a team of people who will ratio the hell out of you. Not to bully you, but because you lie. We ratio people who lie. But I'm talking about 128,000 votes, not the ratio that there were 0 Trump. It's not possible. Trump asking the question, what is happening here? Fact checked, disputed. Washington Post saying, what's complicated? And then a few hours later, it's a typo.
Yeah.
Isn't it the news's job to figure out a typo?
Yeah.
If you can dispute, look, right now, if I were just to say this, nobody said anything because I want no context. 4 million dead voters. There were 4 million dead voters in Michigan, period. Of of the votes in Michigan, 4 million of them were from dead people. Stop. No one, if I said that seriously, no one would go, wait, that's not possible. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what fucking happened, and no one cared. No one cared. And then later, I came out and said, sorry. Did I say 4 million? I meant 4. But for 4 hours or 3 hours or whatever it is, no one said anything. They'd lock me away from social media forever. That's what happened.
Well, it's worse than that. They didn't just not say anything. They carried the water for it and said it's totally possible.
It's totally normal.
Yeah. Has any vote dump in history, right? I don't care. You're counting the votes and you're saying, all right, we got another 150,000 votes. They go this guy, this guy. Has any one of those dumps in history come back 100% for one person and 0% for the other?
And that's what's so scary is they carried the water at this point. The media is carrying each other's water.
Oh, yeah.
But now we could enter into a realm, if this is allowed to stand, and this is why we will continue fighting, they will be carrying the government's water. Yeah. Think about that for a second. Right now, their fight is against shows like this that do better than them, right? Daily Wire and a lot of and Blaze and all kinds of, not even alternative media because it's more consumed media than theirs, right? So right now, they're carrying water to try and silence us and fact check us. But what do you think is going to happen when Joe Biden says, 120, something of the equivalent, 128,000 votes for me? Or what about when Joe Biden says, actually, that wasn't Donald Trump's vaccine, that was my vaccine? The media's going to go, look, Joe Biden's vaccine. That's propaganda.
Yeah. Right. And the media is trying to say that this is a battle that has been won, and it's been won in the halls of the media. Whereas Trump is saying, no, this is a battle that needs to be fought in the courts.
Right.
And he's right. Yeah. And they're wrong.
And by the way,
it's the wrong battlefield. They're trying to decide that they are the battlefield.
And there's a reason that the courts exist because they are supposed to be a safeguard for the people, not the media.
Right.
There is no accountability for the media. This is the same media who said Jussie Smollett had bleach poured on him and had a noose put over his neck, and it was a shoelace. This is the same media, by the way, who said that Nick Sandmann was harassing a Native American when it was really just some crackhead banging a calf-skin drum, and the kid was just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then they also said this is a frivolous law. That's what they use just right now, right?
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, the same network that said Donald Trump is filing frivolous lawsuits had to pay several of their lifetime salaries to Nick Sandmann for lying. Remember Brian Stelter saying this frivolous nuisance money? Really? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, CNN nuisance money? So these are the same people who said it was frivolous when they slandered a kid and they lost. And now they're trying to say it about Bill Barr. These are the same people who said frivolous, Nick Sandmann lawsuit, lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, legitimate, Russia, and Bill Barr said, nope.
Yeah.
But trust them, all is well. What do you think about that, Joe Lewis? I just noticed that he moved his head a little bit.
He's sleeping.
Joe Lewis, do you have any thoughts? Should I talk about Cardi B?
Oh, gosh, please no.
Should I talk about Cardi B, Joe Lewis? Okay.
He's not a fan.
So Cardi B actually teased her new signature Reeboks with this promotional image for people who don't. Oh, my God. Take it down. Can we dispute that?
She totally wanted to be.
This claim is under review.
Yeah,
little icon under there.
I don't really get the appeal, but she also there's also this isn't the only ad that she has. I don't get the appeal, but I guess it's just a matter of taste because some people love her.
Oh, what a night.
Beautiful. Nothing like navigating under the stars.
I'll say.
By the foam.
Oh, it's like a painting.
Wait. Do you hear that?
Hear what?
Oh, shh. That's the most beautiful sound my ears have ever heard.
No.
Oh, I can't help it.
Patrick! No!
Hey, what's happening?
We lost another one.
Future America.
Disgusting.
Take everything you don't like now and remove the safeguards and add dementia. So, listen, for people, this is the first time we're doing it since the election streams because we've made everything free, but I think you've gotten about an hour and a half of content right now. There's going to be about another 30, 40 minutes with Manny, the art critic. We're going to be we're going to have him critiquing. What is the difference between critiquing and criticizing? You know what? We'll talk about it behind the paywall because Audio Wade is very affected, and he's a little bit of a snobby prick, but I love him. So we'll be talking about that difference difference, and taking your chats exclusively Mug Club. So that's one of the perks. You get to chat with us because we know you're not so much of a security threat. We are going to go now exclusively to Mug Club. YouTube, thank you. Dispute this video all you want. We still say piss off.